In 1976, the aviation industry witnessed what should have been a revolutionary event, the flight of the Concorde, the world's first supersonic commercial aircraft. It was an incredible aircraft, a joint undertaking between France's Sud Aviation and the British Aircraft Corporation. During its heyday, only the Concorde could ferry passengers from New York to London in just under 3 hours. Despite parties such as the Soviet Union with its Tu-144 attempting to compete in the supersonic airline market, only the Concorde stuck. So that begs the question, why did it fail? To put it simply, it was incredibly expensive for consumers, the environment, and airline companies alike. While the Concorde was undoubtedly a remarkable aircraft, it was a bit of an impractical choice for most consumers, if one was even within reach. The only two airlines that had Concordes in their inventory were Air France and British Airways. Adding to this, the Concorde could only go on a very restricted set of routes. Numerous airports around the world refused to allow Concordes on their tarmacs due to how loud they were. Aside from the noise its massive turbojet engines generated on the ground, the sonic booms it would produce as it broke the sound barrier mid-air made it extremely difficult for most airports to properly accommodate. As such, anyone lucky enough to have flown on a Concorde during its years of service found themselves a member of a very exclusive club. In a literal sense, only the rich and famous could afford to fly on the Concorde. This was due to just how much it cost for a ticket to ride the blazing fast luxury aircraft. Anyone hoping to experience supersonic flight for themselves would have to shell out on average a whopping $12,000 for one set of round-trip tickets to get on board. Adjusted for inflation, that's a little over $50,000 today, more money than most people make in a year. The Concorde also faced stiff competition in the luxury aviation industry from private jets and standard commercial aircraft chartered out for personal or shared use, like the Boeing 747-8 VIPs we see rented out today. This was a much more affordable and practical option for anyone who needed a quick, direct, and private mode of travel. From Mick Jagger to middle management, almost anyone with money to spare could book a private jet. Today, costs for renting out a private jet start at roughly $4,000 per hour for a mid-sized jet that will seat 9 passengers, and $8,600 per flying hour for a larger jet that will take you and 14 to 18 friends cross-country. Expensive, but much more realistic of an asking price than what it cost to fly on a Concorde. So why exactly did it cost so much to book a flight on a Concorde? While this plane was a revolutionary feat in engineering, it also came at the wrong time. Just 3 years before the Concorde's first public flight, the world faced an oil crisis. During this time, oil prices rose by nearly 300%, and despite all of the Concorde's innovations, it wasn't exactly a model of efficiency. Its dated turbojet engines burned through 5,638 gallons of jet fuel per hour, almost double the fuel expenditure of a standard jumbo jet. At the start of the decade, a gallon of jet fuel would set you back 11 cents, and by the end of the decade, prices soared to more than $1 a gallon. This meant that a 3-hour trip from New York to London would have cost over $16,000 in fuel by the end of the 70s. It wasn't just fuel that drove up ticket prices for the Concorde. It also required more maintenance than its subsonic counterparts. Each aircraft required 57 hours of maintenance for every flight hour, performed by a specially trained crew. Ultimately, the Concorde proved to be too expensive to fly and maintain for airline companies to keep in their inventories. As the new millennium approached, British Airways and Air France were already planning its retirement. The Concorde's retirement was all but ensured with the highly publicized crash of Air France Flight 4590 in 2000. which claimed the lives of all 109 people on board. Once Airbus decided to stop producing replacement parts for the luxury aircraft in 2003, it was all over. The aircraft was finally retired in November 2003, bringing its complicated legacy to a close. Only time will tell if we'll see passenger aircraft capable of supersonic flight again. But when that happens, it'll come with a boom.